Hello, you're listening to a We Will Fix It podcast short with Colin Thomas and myself, James Pikeaway.
Guide to summer. Now, the start point, I think, has to be AC. That's the one that people think about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. For AC, there's a simple scenario, which is if you have no plants and also if you have nothing that you are particularly worried about within your property, then leave the AC off.
Hold on a second.
Yep.
Leave the AC off.
We're going wild and crazy here. Now, what I would do instead, what you need is circulation. And we've talked about circulation all the time. So the standard scenario would be, and this is an unusual scenario that I'm stating here because you don't really have that much that you're particularly worried about. Lots of caveats. So first of all doors leave open because you want circulation. We're also relying on convection currents as well. So that the difference in temperature that will naturally happen as your house heats up moves air around the property. To aid that, I would turn on extractor fans, but not all of them. Okay. I would do upstairs, I would do one, and downstairs, I would do one. And the idea is to aid that circulation as it moves around. People get really worried about mold.
Absolutely, it gets humid.
Yeah, and they're right to do that. So I would still add in some caveats, which is if you're going away in the really high humidity months, so that would be in September or late September, October, isn't it, when it normally hits around that period. And then also as we go into the summer, which we've kind of just had, and actually oddly enough, it wasn't that humid this year.
No, not yet. But I think there's still time to come.
This kind of period. So we're currently in June. So the kind of May to June period is traditionally where that humidity would come in. Then I would not go without AC. If you're in the solid part of summer where it's generally quite dry, then at that point you have that as a possibility. Okay,
so just keep some circulation happening, keep all the doors open. It's going to get warm, but it's not going to get moist.
And I know people will get this anyway, but let's be clear. When we say keep the doors open, we do not mean exterior doors in any shape or form.
Yes.
It's only interior doors.
Would you keep the closet doors open?
Yeah, I would if there were clothes in there, because again, you're looking for circulation as you go. So it'll look like your house is slightly ransacked. Oh, that's a very organised ransacking. They haven't actually taken anything out of my cupboards. But that's the way that I would handle it in that situation. Again, a few other caveats. I wouldn't be doing that if I was going for longer than a month on the whole. And also, if you didn't have anybody to come in, then that would be what I would do. But obviously, in that situation, if you have plants, it's too hot for them. They will die. So think about that in terms of the practicalities. And again, silly things that people don't think about. Fish was a classic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I know that scenario that has happened, which is awful. But think about the practicalities of what you've got. Okay, now.
So that's no AC, keep stuff open, and away we go.
Okay, a normal scenario, which is, no, I've got plants in the house and I need something that is practical, which is not going to kill my DEWA bill, but at the same time, gives me a modicum of control. So, first of all, unless you have somebody coming in every few days, then your plants are an issue. Right. So try and get them to neighbours if you can, because otherwise they're going to die anyway if they don't get anything through. So let's assume that the plants are now out of the way. At that point, I would turn on one AC within the property.
Which one?
Upstairs. If you imagine, because... and you can choose which upstairs you have, and we'll talk about the scenarios with that. The reason that you use upstairs is obviously cold air is denser than hot air. So therefore, if you do an upstairs one, it should come out, go down the landing, that cool air, and then create that convection current rotation that we're talking about. Okay. If you do one downstairs, it won't have the same effect. There'll be a minimal effect in terms of what it does. Do you need more than one AC? Yes, in an ideal world, you do. However, we are talking DEWA bills here and also reliability. So how could your AC fail? Well, in all the ways that it could fail during the summer while you're here. So therefore, that AC that you pick needs to be one that, if you've got a history in the house, you know has been pretty reliable. Secondly, without a doubt, it needs to have been recently serviced and by somebody who knows what they're doing. Okay, so that way, if there are any issues that they can foresee with that unit and tell them you plan to leave it on over the summer while you're away, then in which case they certainly need to do that as well. Thirdly, temperature that you put it on at. You don't need it to be ridiculously low. So I would personally put it on around 27, somewhere around there. So it's doing its job, and at 27 as the only one in the house, it will be still working quite hard.
Yeah.
But what it will do is it will take out the extremes of temperature, and at the same time, it will still be helping that rotation around the house as you go.
Would you leave the fan on that unit or have it on auto?
I would leave the fan on if that's an option. I mean, on mine, they're pretty much on permanently. But again, if that is an option, I would definitely leave that fan on, without a doubt. Now, you've also got to plan for risk. So in this situation, what are your risks? Number one, that the AC fails, and those failures could either be a cooling failure or alternatively a water leak. So what happens, you need to know where the indoor unit is, which is normally within a bathroom, and you need to plan for how do I minimize the effects of if there was a leak here in this situation. So the first thing that you would do is if you've got a floor drain, leave the cover off. So that way, if it were to leak and through the ceiling, it goes into the floor drain. If you have particularly fancy ceiling tiles, it might be an idea to take off the ceiling tiles that are above that AC unit. So that way, they're not going to be spoiled if it does leak.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Thirdly, have a look at your bathroom and see whether or not you have a lip going out, the threshold going to the bedroom that it's attached to, or wherever else it's going. If you imagine if water...
A sill, they call that a sill.
Yeah,
No?
there's sill. Well, sill normally you'd use on windows. I think threshold actually is the normal that you'd use, but I don't know whether you can only use that at an entrance to a house rather than to a room.
I don't mind. I don't mind. All have that. They all have a threshold.
Yeah, those are really useful because it will keep water in the right location. When it hits the floor, it's actually got to find that floor drain. So it's going to take a little bit of depth to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Think about the implications of it if you flood that room. For instance, do you have like we have in ours, I've never understood why, this is the missus, and we have an additional kind of cheapo IKEA chest of drawers, which is for storage of, actually, to be fair, it's storage of mostly my stuff. 'Cause thinking about it, no, this is all me. I buy Listerine like 10 at a time and toothpaste 10 packs at a time because I can't be bothered doing it more often. So if I'm buying it in bulk. So that's all me. Apologies.
Yeah, Natalie got an apology.
The first time in my life.
This has to be like played over and over again. She's going to go, finally.
Yeah, okay. Mind you, thinking about it, now I've got 2 out of the 3 drawers. Yeah, no, it's yours. It is
it's all you.
Yeah, guilty. She's got another wall-mounted unit, totally separate. So thinking about that, so in my case, I'm like, oh, you know what? That cost 150 dirhams. If it dies, it dies. I'm really not that bothered. I can grab another one. But if you've got something that's a little bit more important to you, that if there was a water in that room, then again, I would move that out of the room and well away. Think about rugs and all that kind of thing as well, and the effect that can cause. Yeah. So ACs. Now, the other thing with that is if you had the option of somebody coming in once a week for 5 minutes, take it without a doubt, because at that point, and also think about your AC provider and who you would call in that situation.
So leave that list for people.
Absolutely, yeah. Or if you're contactable, you can do it yourself from abroad.
Have your list with you because most people. I mean, these days roaming, someone calls you. I mean, we can all eat a call from someone who's coming to our house and says, it's gonna be 2 minutes. Yeah, we got a problem. Okay, I'll call someone.
Yep.
Can I rely on you to be there at XYZ time? Yep. Okay, I'll call you back.
Well, you can if it's an express service.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
Well, WhatsApp you. Okay, there we go.
So next one. So that's ACs. Oh, sorry, we didn't talk about the infinite resources scenario. Which is
so we've talked about turning everything off.
Yes.
We've talked about keeping one unit on.
Yep.
And in my case, I can turn on and off the old Lennox system. I can turn on and off. I've got an auto fan, or I've got keep fan on. So
nice.
Keep the fan on.
Cool. Also, I've got 2 units in our house, which I know a lot of people will have now, which is the smart thermostats. Mine are Ecobee. There's Nest as well, which is the other main one. And wherever you are in the world, you can still control your ACs.
That's nice.
So, you have an option of being able to do that. So, depending on temperature, you can either set it up on an auto, or alternatively, you can do it manually if you need to.
Nice.
It is. It's useful. So, and you know what? Natalie sometimes has sent me a message saying, can you just turn the ACs down a bit? I'm like, I'm in London and it's 3 a.m. in the morning. And she had some reason. I can't remember why I used to do it. She was out or something. I can't remember. Nana's too cold. Something like that. Anyway, and then the infinite resources scenario. Okay, so infinite resources, yes, you would leave all the ACs on because that will have more of a dehumidifying effect. You would have no issues in terms of temperatures with the house. But in that situation, you've probably got a whole army of drivers and maids that would be in there to do all this for you anyway.
So it's all sorted.
Yes, and that was the scenario that was discussed by the Cleaning Times. Very, very practical. Well done, you. Yeah.
Now, as a side to this, I know that you and Dan sometimes see air conditioning slightly different. We've got a whole podcast where you talked about the office and the leave the AC on at night high versus don't leave it on at all. What's Dan's take on summer leaving AC? Is he following your play card?
Well, he has a maid, so on that basis,
he's got no issues then.
Yeah, he's kind of dealt with that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a simple scenario on this one as ever. Which is one of us is right and one of us is wrong.
Yeah.
I'll leave that to everybody else to work out.